here we go. Big energy, a lot of energy up top, nice and bubbly. Here we go, come on. Hello everyone, and welcome to another lesson in Greek mythology. Now today, our lesson is going to cover a very specific quote that I find really, really endearing, and I would love for the opportunity to discuss it. Now the quote goes, "One must imagine Sisyphus happy." Take a moment, all of you, take a moment, and just consider that. What might that mean? One must imagine Sisyphus happy. Sisyphus. Yes! God, that was good. Let's go. Whew. I love that. That was best attempt yet. Okay. God, that was good. Yeah. Fucking kill. All right. Yeah. Come in. A lot of energy. We'll do it really, really nicely, really, really crisp. And then we'll break it down. We'll go slow on the question. We'll ask the rhetorical questions. We'll ask them to take a moment and draw all of the students' focus directly onto me. And I'll let them sit there in the silence of this philosophical knot. Leave it to them to untie. And just as they start to get anxious about when I might speak next, I'll ease the tension. One must imagine Sisyphus happy. Now, who here, raise your hands, knows who Sisyphus is? Now, let's see. Getting close to when the seniors tend to ditch. Thinking 30% of the class will raise their hands? Yeah. Not bad. Could be better. Yeah. And then, to not alienate the rest of the class, I won't even call it anymore. I'll just say, well, for those of you who don't know, and then I'll transition into my normal lecturing cadence. Sisyphus was a mortal man in the time of the Greek pantheon. He, more than anything, was afraid of death. And so, in the face of the gods, twice, this man escapes death. He escapes the clutches of the underworld and continues to live out his days. It is one of the few stories of a mortal actually beating any of the gods. Of course, being a mortal in the presence of gods tends to mean that you get tortured, and as he begins to die of old age and is finally sucked down into the underworld, the gods grant him a very special punishment. And this is what Sisyphus is best known for, is this torture. See, similar to Prometheus or Medusa, it's tailor-made to be excruciating. Sisyphus was tasked with rolling a massive stone boulder up a steep mountain. It took all of his strength and tore his muscles apart to bear the weight of this stone as gravity was pulling him closer to the base of this mountain. It took so much time and effort and pain and strain to begin to lift this boulder up to the mountain. But, seeing as how it is his eternity, he eventually manages to reach the top. So much suffering, but finally he gets to rest easy, having completed his punishment, and then, in that fraction of the moment as the boulder stands still atop the mountain, it begins to descend the other side. And that is the true nature of his punishment. See, it was never about pushing the boulder, it was about the fact that he will never, ever be complete in his task. He will be forced to suffer the pain, the tedium of this task for eternity. And so I once again ask you to consider the quote, "One must imagine Sisyphus happy." Imagine. Imagine someone whose whole life is the same painful, difficult task with no end in sight. How could a person like that be happy? Imagine that. See, the quote harkens back to the more Western ideas of enlightenment. Rather than escaping desire, a lot of these Western ideas focused on work as the meaning of life. Work gives you a sense of belonging and a sense of purpose. There is meaning to be found in the routine and in the tedium of it all. And I think that it applies to our day-to-day lives. I mean, I have a routine. At times, it does feel inescapable. As I'm sure many of you do as well. One must imagine Sisyphus happy. We must imagine Sisyphus happy. Because in many ways, we are all in this world, living this life, doomed to repeat a routine over and over again. You know, I work really hard every day. I just wake up to an alarm. I get ready to start the day. I try and stay motivated. I try how come I don't get to be happy? How come he gets to be happy. Him. I do everything you ask of me. Even when everything feels hopeless, I still push forward every day. Why does he have it better than me? What did I do that was so much more vile and abhorrent that I deserve such a punishment? Answer me, please. I beg you, please. What did I do so wrong that I should suffer a torture worse than him? One must imagine Sisyphus happy. One must imagine Sisyphus happy because, quite frankly, I don't have a lot of hope left. One must imagine Sisyphus happy because, quite frankly, if he can't find happiness, then what choice do I have? What hope do I have that things will ever get better? I've done nothing wrong. We learn about all of these Greek tragedies of hubris or greed or lust. You know, I'm not afraid of death like Sisyphus was. I'm not scared of dying. In fact, I am ashamed to admit that I've sought it out. God, this fucking world. You know, we try and label the pain and the heartache and the loneliness. You know, we call it depression, we give it a clinical title, we give it medication and prescriptions, but at the end of the day, nothing works. At the end of the day, I'm still not happy. Why? Please. One must imagine Sisyphus happy. Because quite frankly, I've got nothing left. Now, I have a lecture to prepare for, yet again. Less breakdowns on next attempt. Yeah. All right, here we go. All right. Bright and bubbly. Here we go. Hello, everyone, and welcome to... Fuck. Hi there. You're early today. Yeah, I was just working on the lecture for today. It's the quote, "One must imagine Sisyphus happy." Now you're a smart kid. I'm sure you know all about Sisyphus and the boulder and everything. I take it you were one of the avid Percy Jackson fans. Yeah. One must imagine Sisyphus happy. You know, in all this time, I've taught this lecture 20 different times. 20 different semesters. At the end of it, I asked for a paragraph. You know, it's less about the assignment and more what you take from it. See, he found his purpose. He found his sense of belonging through his work, through his torment and his torture. The man who lived his life in fear suddenly greeted with the warmth of eternal purpose. And I think it begs us to ask that purpose of ourselves. Where do we belong? Where do we find our purpose? Mine, Susie, comes from teaching. It comes from bestowing stories to all of you. It is what gives me fulfillment. Maybe not necessarily happiness, but fulfillment. Yeah. I'm gonna finish getting ready for the lecture. Just feel free to relax for this lecture. No assignment. I'm not gonna worry about it this go around. One must imagine Sisyphus.